Hello, adventurers! My name is Nate, and I'm here with Ranger Liz.
Hi.
Brian.
Hello.
And we're bringing you our 5th podcast for the second week of November, and we're going to be talking to you today about Shadowrun, Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition, and Half-Life, the games that we are thankful for and how they affected us. I'll be starting us off this week with Shadowrun. Now, Shadowrun is a urban cyberpunk fantasy game where it's set in the future. You have the return of magic, you have elves, you have cybernetics, you have magic, and all of this stuff is colliding.
I remember playing as a crazy rat lady.
Yes, and you played that rat shaman well.
I've seen the Shadowrun card game, that's about it.
Yeah. Shadowrun really was the first RPG I got to play. Because, although I had purchased and had access to the MechWarrior Battletech RPG, I had no one to play it with. But when it came to Shadowrun, there were a lot more people who I could find who were interested in playing Shadowrun.
Yeah.
I had friends who were interested in playing the Battletech board game or miniatures game with me, but they didn't want to necessarily play the role-playing game. Whereas I had friends who were very interested in playing Shadowrun with me.
And you had family who were trapped in cars on a car trip that you could force into playing Shadowrun with you because you didn't bring anything else on purpose.
Oops.
And all we had in our family trips was the alphabet game and I Spy.
I liked bringing along Mad Libs, even though they made me horribly carsick.
But, yeah, that was actually the first RPG I got to play, and it did make a pretty big impression on me. Just like early Battletech, Shadowrun was made by FASA. And in its earliest editions, Shadowrun was based on people's interpretation of the internet in its earliest forms. So there was no Wi-Fi. So unlike the current editions of Shadowrun where you can connect to the internet from wherever, no, you had to plug in to the internet. You actually had to have a data jack installed into your head, have a little fiber optic cord, plug that in and into a outlet to get to the internet. Whereas today's hackers in the game can have a built-in Wi-Fi signal and have wireless connections to their hacking computer, which is called a cyberdeck, mainly because it was, almost the size of a deck of cards. And they were able to, the new ones in the current edition can connect wirelessly to all of this and use their wireless connection to use their mind to hack the internet.
Well, yeah, because our understanding of technology has gotten better.
Yeah, our understanding of technology has gotten better.
I just hope the firewall they have on their brain is pretty good.
Because you're going through the cyberdeck to go.
Better than what's in
and
Ghost in the Shell, maybe?
And hopefully their brain doesn't operate on Windows Millennium.
No.
Oh no! He blue screened of death!
Yeah, no, your brain isn't running the computer programs. Your brain is interfacing with the computer, which is about the size of a deck of cards.
Still, I think if you were at a blue screen, that'd be pretty devastating.
I was gonna say they'd probably lock up a lot.
But yeah,
they'd probably like a horrible brain fart.
Oh yeah. But no, it's that though really did shape my impression of role-playing games as a whole.
It kind of shaped mine too, which is probably part of the reason why I did not get really involved. I'm sorry. Not that I have a major problem with role-playing games, but because I was trapped in the car and forced to role-play, I wasn't all that big into jumping into role-playing games when I got older, other than video games.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Although I did enjoy my rat character when I was no longer trapped in the car, I was not all that thrilled. I would have rather been playing Mad Libs and then be throwing up.
Yeah.
So one ringing endorsement and one not so ringing endorsement.
Only
Yes.
because I had a bad... I mean, it was good. It was a good game. I will say that. But...
I unfortunately don't have any experience with Shadowrun, so...
Well, let me put it this way. If I could, I would bring... I have a Shadowrun quick start. I could bring it. We could run it for everyone, but I don't know if that would go over well. So, Liz, tell us about why D&D 4th edition was special to you.
Okay, well, a long time ago, after Liz decided maybe I should try giving role-playing games another shot, because dice are pretty. Literally, that's pretty much the main reason. Dice are pretty. Which is why I have a huge collection of dice. I started playing 3.5 E of D&D. And it was okay, except I had absolutely no idea what was going on my character sheet. I pretty much needed to be told everything. I needed help with making my character. And, you know, it was okay. I got used to it. And I started understanding a bit more over time. But I still, for the most part, always had to confirm, is like, I roll this, right? Or am I adding this and this? And so forth. Then 4E started to come out. I had some of my own ideas of games I wanted to try running. But I was scared to run because there was so much information in 3.5 that I was really scared to run it. 4E came out, and Nathan's like, you know what, this is so easy, I bet you can run it. And for our first game for our group, I ran first game for 4E for our group, I ran it. And since we were all getting used to the system, I didn't feel so scared about having to ask and reconfirm if things were going all right, and in fights and stuff. And at the same time, I felt like I was understanding it, and I could make my own stuff. I didn't need Nathan sitting next to me making my encounters. I could easily see how I'm supposed to make my encounters, whereas when I was trying to come up with ideas or come up with ways to do my ideas in 3.5, I wasn't exactly sure I was understanding it, though I'm not exactly sure if I was looking at the dungeon manual. So pretty much... And also later on when I made my own characters, I didn't need Nathan sitting next to me. I felt confident enough that I could make my own character. So, reason I love 4E is probably the same reason why a lot of hardcore D&D players don't like 4E, is because it was easier for me to understand as a new person to role-playing games. Which really is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a way to get people into it. And for me, it was, I guess you could say it was a gateway drug. Because as much as I was enjoying 3.5 edition, and as much as I was sad that they took away all my beautiful skills and left me with a smaller skill list in 4E, I just sort of felt the game was a little more tailored for people who had a slightly harder time initially understanding all the other stuff. So that was my reason why. It gave me confidence as a role player and also as a GM.
Yeah, and after that, you know, you've really taken off as both a player and a GM. Your Shard game, for example, after that was beautiful.
Both games you ran were extremely entertaining, so...
Yeah.
I tried to make game entertaining. I wanted them to not just be you're sitting there waiting for your next turn and so forth. I wanted it to be entertaining and for people to want to be engaged.
I like both of them, so...
Yeah. So, Brian, Half-Life?
Yeah. I can't really claim an emotional attachment to Half-Life as much as you guys had for like Shadowrun or 4E, but I still remember when I first played Half-Life, I was over at my friend's house. I don't remember we got that far, but I remember we got to the part in the first game where you're trying to jump across the elevator shaft to grab onto a ladder that's on the other side. For those of you who don't know, Half-Life is a first-person shooter. It's also rather interesting is that there's chapters. I mean, there's chapter titles, but nothing really breaks the flow other than, loading screens. So when a new area needs to load. That's the only thing that really breaks the flow of the game. Otherwise, it is just one continuous story. You start off on a train getting into the facility. You go into the research lab. You cause a horrible accident. Cause these aliens or interdimensional beings to start teleporting throughout the entire facility, and you have to fight your way out, eventually encountering Marines and all those other things. I really liked Half-Life 1, and I remember getting Half-Life 2 back in 04 when it came out. I don't remember playing it much in 04, although I think my computer was out of date at that time, so I couldn't really play it. And I kind of set it on the shelf for a while. Came back to it, I think, about the time the Orange Box came out. And one of the things that Half-Life was, it was one of that first games, especially Half-Life 2, it was the first game where I looked at the achievements, and I actually tried to get all the achievements. And I've gotten most of them for Half-Life 2 and all of its episodes. It was the first game where I actually looked at it and went, this sounds ridiculous. I'm going to try to fight through Ravenholm with only using the gravity gun. I'm going to try to play this entire game only firing one bullet. I'm going to try to take this little gnome that you find at the very beginning of the game and carry it through the entire game until the end of it. Even through the parts where you have to put it in the car. And despite the fact you're in a car and your feet are in front of you, it will fly right through your feet and outside the car, outside the open doors, because there aren't any doors in the car. And I loved playing it. I loved getting better at the game. Back when I first played it, I would actually do stupid things or cheating things like, I didn't play that part well enough. Go back to the previous spot. But the other reasons I really liked Half-Life is all the other stuff connected to the series. You have the Portal series of games, which are set in the same universe, and there's a bunch of references in Portal to Half-Life. But there's also just those other things that came out. They're still working on it. They haven't completed it yet. But the Black Mesa project to recreate Half-Life 1 in the Source engine, I played through it when it was on Steam. It's no longer on Steam because, Valve gave them, official recognition to, and I think Valve's actually doing some support for the game now. So while they wait for Zen to come out, they're doing all that. But probably the biggest thing that's kept Half-Life in my... just keep it in my vision is a series on YouTube. Well, it was on YouTube. Freeman's Mind. For anyone who don't play it, it's the series creator, and I'm kind of doing a plug here. Series creator Ross Scott does a playthrough of Half-Life. He started that back, I think, in 2007. He started just doing the first 3 episodes where you get right up to the Resonance Cascade. But fans loved it so much, he's continued going on, and he's actually just recently gotten to the point where he's going to Zen. We haven't gone to Zen yet, but he just went through the portal to Zen. And it's just something that's kept it alive in my consciousness because you're waiting, okay, when's the new episode coming out? Oh, there's a new episode? Where's he at? How far is he going to get? And you just remember all those points in the game when you're like, that was an awesome part, or he's coming up to an awesome part, and you're just waiting to see what Freeman's reaction is going to be to it. So, biggest reason why I've loved Half-Life is both Valve and fans have kept the game just immensely entertaining, and I can go back to the game anytime I want. I actually, earlier today, decided, I'm going to play Half-Life 2 again, so...
Yeah. And that is the hallmark of a good game, that replayability for any kind of computer or video game.
Replayability and just the fact that the fans, even if they aren't necessarily always replaying it, is just they're still excited about it, and they're still doing stuff about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, take Earthbound, for example.
Oh, yeah.
That was kept alive. Even though it had not been re-released onto the Nintendo Wii until recently. It came out on the Wii U. But the fans kept trying to keep Earthbound in everyone's mind and go, hey, look, this is a great game, and we need to get it re-released so everyone can play it.
Yeah.
And you never know. Maybe I still always think about getting one of those, head crab plushies.
Oh, yeah. Particularly if it's the hat version. Then it's extra fun.
The what?
A hat.
A hat.
Oh, the hat. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
Head crab
I thought you said the
hat.
Like
I
my
thought you said
Timo
the
hat.
I thought you said the pet version.
No.
That's a bad version. Even though it's in Half-Life 2.
I have a pet head crab.
Yep. Lamar. He had his beak removed so that he couldn't bite through your skull.
It doesn't make Lamar's the reason Half-Life 2 happened.
Yes, Lamar's a dick. And we're going to be finishing off with some upcoming releases. Liz?
There's Pokemon Mega and Alpha that are coming out on November 21st. I remember, Nathan, you don't have to be doing hand signals in the background. And then on Steam, there was a game that I talked about before that is in alpha. Again, it's alpha, so it's not a finished product. But I'm interested in seeing what they have so far. It's called Dragons. It's an RPG where you play as the dragon. And it looks like fun. So, those are my things.
Biggest releases I know of is the second half of the Rise of Dragons RPG, or for D&D 4E comes out.
The Tyranny of Dragons?
Tyranny of Dragons, yes. Rise of Tiamat comes out tomorrow, so I'll be getting that in the mail tomorrow. Other than that, I'm still waiting for the DMG. They've released more teasers for evil classes. They've released the Death Domain, as well as the Fallen Paladin path for the Paladin class, so that looks interesting. So still waiting for that stuff to actually come out, though. I'll probably, look over the DMG when it comes out.
I'm finding this whole Tyranny of Dragon thing is rather fun and interesting, because I'll show you afterwards. In the Attack Wing, there's actually scenarios for that storyline that you can play through with those characters.
If I ever run a 5e thing, I think the first thing I might run, the next thing I might run for any 5e thing will be the Tyranny of Dragons, starting with Horde of the Dragon Queen, I think. Word of warning, though, from everything I've heard of it, the beginning levels are rather unrelenting, and they're pretty tough, so...
Hey, we're up for it.
Yeah, I'm up for it, because we were actually in the GameStop when I was... Or, not GameStop. Game Shop when I was reserving Attack Wing, and we saw, this hardcover manual of all the campaign information for... I think it was... Wasn't it?
It was Rise of Tiamat.
Yeah, Rise of Tiamat.
They had a pre-release copy.
Yep.
Yeah,
apparently Tiamat has stats in it.
I was like...
Kind of like, if you fail, you have to... This is what you fight. And if you fail, this is how you will die.
I was like, this is awesome. I wish we would do this at some point.
Yep.
So...
Well, I haven't read too in-depth. I'm just telling you the first scenario for Horde of the Dragon Queen is pretty unrelenting combat.
That's okay. We're up for it.
And we also started playing Neverwinter. I was doing Let's Plays for that, so...
Additionally, I've been following the developers of Exalted 3rd Edition on their Twitters.
Yep, you have.
Twitter stalking them, and Holden one of the head developer has come out or the other head developer has come out and said, it's pretty much done. We're just waiting on the art.
Okay.
So, according to him, the next part is going to fly by. So, we don't know if they're, if we're going to have to wait on the indexing, how long that's going to take. The fans are saying it's probably going to be another 2 months. From what Holden's saying, maybe another month. So, we're looking at...
I'd go with the 2 months.
I'm going with the 2 months just to be safe. I'm going to say it'll probably be out in January or February.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice because it's starting to get Valve-ish.
The only other things I'm looking forward to is just the continued release of Exigence models for Privateer Press's RPG. Not RPG, the war game. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep an eye out for Attack Wing Let's Play.
Keep an eye out for Attack Wing Let's Plays. With coming up in the next few weeks, we will have more Let's Plays coming out. Plus, a special column just from me about one thing that's a little too near and dear to my heart. It'll be called Dungeons and Dinners, where I will be going over how to cook simple meals that will be tasty for your group. Because let's face it, we're all getting a little too husky on the Cheetos and Mountain Dew. We should probably not be scarfing down that many empty calories, and let's kill some of these negative stereotypes.
My biggest contribution to cooking is just slow cookers are awesome.
Yeah. So I will be starting, though, because it is November, with recipes that can be just as good with turkey or chicken.
Yep, so your leftover turkey.
You'll be able to use it. Because let's face it, if you're like us, you're going to have leftover turkey.
And leftover Thanksgiving for several weeks.
Until it's almost Christmas. So with that, we bid you all a farewell, and we will see you next week.
And don't kill us, we're NPCs.
Wait, I thought we were the PCs.
No, wait, we are PCs. Never mind! Don't kill us, we're the PCs.